Beautiful. So warm welcome, everyone. We are super excited to have you at this webinar, which is packed with a lot of interesting information for you and a lot of practical tips on how to use the augmented reality in your educational settings. And Herbert is going to be delivering this webinar. And we have also colleagues from Cleverbox here, Sasha and Mina. They will be assisting with the Q&A. And if any questions or anything you are interested to ask during the webinar, make sure you do so using the chat. So before we start, we just want to learn more about you. And if you can just briefly put in the chat which country you are from. Just briefly in the chat. So which country you're from and what is your job? Beautiful. We have Turkey. Teacher. Well done. Great. UK. Egypt. Indonesia. Oh my God, that's a huge time difference. Science teacher. Brilliant. So all of you will have a lot of interesting, okay, fantastic. Homeroom teacher, early years teacher, Jordan, ICT teacher. Brilliant. Nice to meet you all, guys. And we are extremely pleased to have you at this webinar. So we also have a prize draw, where we will announce the winners at the end of this webinar. So I will put in the chat right now the link, Turkey English teacher, adult education teacher from Ireland. Beautiful. So I will put in the chat for you the link to the form if you would like to participate in the prize draw, and the winner will be announced at the end of this webinar. Please fill out this short form. You have the link in the chat now. And Mina will be announcing the winner at the end of the webinar. So I'm gonna give the word to Herbert now, who will drive us through the fantastic journey of the augmented reality in the education. Over to you, Herbert. You are muted. And you're still muted.
What? I am still
muted? Now no. Okay, go ahead.
Technology is trying to play tricks again. So thank you, Daria, and welcome everyone to this CPD training. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you shortly. If you haven't had a chance to say hi, just say hi so we know you're active, you're engaging, and you're with us today. And we have a few things to get through, and by the end of this, we hope that you'll get a lot of value and you'll get a tremendous amount of something useful to take from the training and so on and so forth. And if you have any questions anytime during the training, just ask in the chat, and one of my colleagues will be there and will help you, and we will help you address that question if that makes sense. And we may either answer in the chat or they may raise the question to me, and then I'll answer it for everyone to know if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and get started sharing with you my presentation here. Awesome. So you should be able to see my presentation slide. Is it all good?
Yes.
Everyone can see it? Awesome, that's fantastic. Because sometimes technology has this thing where you do your best and then it does its best to go wrong. So first of all, welcome to this CPD training, which is basically on how to give an unrivaled, rich, interactive teaching experience and really get your students to engage with any lesson without any physical limitation, right? And even if you feel like, hey, you know, I don't have time, we're overwhelmed with responsibilities, I already have my subject, I'm already working 57 hours a week, we know, we understand, and there's a lot of teachers we work with, and there's a lot of studies that we've been, we are seeing and coming across where teachers are overloaded with work. Our aim is to show you how you can simplify, how you can basically give a rich, unrivaled interactive teaching experience, but also simplify yourself all those workloads and things like that. So a little bit about who is this for? This is for the teachers who want to make the difference in their students' learning experience, right? So whether you're teaching in the STEM subjects, engineering, technology, and maths, whether you're teaching the language arts, or whether you're teaching history, or whether you're teaching geography, new languages, and by new languages, what I meant is foreign languages like Spanish, Germany, or whether you're just teaching English, cultural study, or maybe you're just a parent who wants to improve your own child's education. A lot of parents really struggles when it comes to helping their students maths. This is for you. This CPD training is for you. So take full advantage of it. There'll be opportunity to take notes. If you want to take notes, by all means, this is for you. So a little bit about what exactly we have here for you. So did you know that 34% of elementary kids, students the age of 4 to about around 10, they go to, the only 34% of them go to school because they enjoy learning, and 64% don't enjoy. In fact, about 43% of those who go there, they only go there because they want to see their friends. So that means as a teacher, there really is a big problem where the students are there, but they don't feel like they belong there. They don't feel like that is a place for them. They don't feel like a place for them. Is that a question? I think they're gonna ask a question there in the comments. So they don't feel like they belong there. And so for teachers, we have this responsibility to help them. And this is why this has been put together for you to help those students who need that help, if that makes sense. With that said, today my aim is to share with you 3 secrets that are going to revolutionize the way you invite your students to engage with any lesson in your classroom, any lesson at all, any subject that you're teaching, right? And before we jump into that, a little bit about myself. My name is Herbert Innocent, as Daria introduced me, and I am an augmented reality classroom specialist, integration specialist. I've been passionate about education for as long as I can remember. And one thing I can also say is, as a team together here at Cleverbooks with Daria and all our team, we've been helping over 35,000 students, helping thousands of teachers, and we are in over 62 different countries and growing. And you can see here, we are really trying to create a movement where we are improving education, not just because it's a good thing to do, but because it's the next generation, it's the next leaders, it's the next, we are passing on that torch, essentially. This is the time, this is the moment. And so for any teacher, is that a question?
No, it just, please guys, keep muted.
Okay, so for any teacher who wants to make a lasting difference in their students, you're very welcome, and we are grateful for that, and thank you for taking the time to join us on this CPD training. With that said, our efforts has been recognized in some of the biggest known companies and very influential organizational bodies like Forbes, Inc. and ASOS, the companies and all that. We are proud of that, but we think we can do more, and that's why we are including you in our circle so we can do more together. And so before we get started, maybe you may be wondering, what is learning? Because a lot of us sometimes do a lot of things, but we don't really consider what it is we're doing, the actual definition of the things we're doing. So maybe wondering, what is learning? Now, while you're going through that, without looking, I want you to comment in the chat. I'm going to give you like at least 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Comment in the chat what is learning to the best of your definition without Googling it or anything like that. What is learning? What do we have in the chat? What is learning?
People are thinking it over. Just give them a moment.
It is a trick. It is something that for a lot of us, we never really take.
Gaining knowledge and skills, discovering new information.
What else? What else? What else do we have?
So far, that's all.
Okay. So for
Changing the
anyone
way, changing the way students think.
Awesome. So for anyone else who's wondering what exactly is learning, I'm going to show you exactly here what the definition of learning is according. So the definition of learning is it's a process. It's a process. That's the first step, process, and then gaining new understanding, knowledge, behaviors, a very big important word, behaviors, skills, a very, very empowering thing there, skills, and then values, something very, very precious there, right? Big, big word, values, attitude, something very important as well, and preferences, right? So learning is a process of gaining new understanding, knowledge, behavior, skills, values, attitude, and preferences. These are very important qualities in making a person, right? And so as a teacher, we have a very big responsibility if this is what we have to do. And so if this is learning, the definition of teaching is the process of attending to someone's needs, experiences, and feelings. So attending to those things first, and then intervening so that they can learn. So they have to choose to learn and then go beyond the given. And what that means is if we are teaching them 2 plus 2, they need to be able to go and say, oh, if 2 plus 2 is 4, then 2 plus 5 is 7. They need to be able to add more from what we just give them. We are giving them the basic where they can add. So first we attend to their needs, experiences, and feeling, and then we intervene to allow them to learn, and then help them go beyond their what we've just given them so they can excel in their potential. And so that's a very big responsibility. And for some of us right now, you're probably wondering, I'm already overwhelming. Do I really need to be thinking about all of these? We will get into that and I'm going to show you how to simplify everything, right? My goal today, our goal today here is to show you 3 secrets about the learning process and how you can use that to basically make the lasting difference in your students' learning experience, right? And by that, what we mean is you'll enable learning in your classroom, right? And your student will get the new understandings, the knowledge, the behaviors, the skills, the value, the attitude, and the preferences that you as a teacher will be proud of, if that makes sense. With that said, you may be thinking, I don't have time. We don't have responsibility. We have so much responsibilities. Let's look at this, what this teacher here has to say. So we are working with a lot of teachers. We work with a lot of teachers. And this teacher, Christine, she's an ICT specialist. She said, the challenge that so many of us teachers are facing is time. And we understand that. There's just so much overwhelming and so many responsibility. And my goal today is to show you a tool that we have for you that will basically instantly simplify your teaching process and reduce your teaching workload while still getting the maximum, the best results possible. Am I making sense so far? Am I delivering? Am I making a giant promise there? Right? Does that excite you? Do you want to see how we can simplify? If you're excited as much as I am, please comment here so I know I'm not the only one in the room who's excited.
I am as well.
Awesome. I'm going to be asking you questions, so please feel free to answer them in the chat so I know I'm not the only one super
you have
excited.
a lot
Are
of
we excited? Are we?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's keep going then. Let's keep going. So the first secret I want to share with you is exploration. And the concept of exploration here is the big idea here is transforming the way you are teaching by building curiosity. You may have come across this here. We're calling it a secret because I think it's one of those lost arts. Everybody knows it, but sometimes they forget it, right? And I'm mentioning exploration. By now, you'll be wondering, does this work and how does this work? Well, let's see what other teachers have to say. So we have a teacher here we're working with. She's actually a principal and she says, I want my content more real. The kids, to the kids, to give them the opportunity to move, explore, touch, play, because that is the natural way of learning. The most natural way of learning is playing, exploring, asking questions. And the reason why exploration works so well is because it causes us to ask questions. And when we ask questions, we learn, right? So by taking students on trips, in making them interact with objects, we create what Tony Robbins calls magical moments, first-time experiences that sticks to us in our mind. So that's the first thing that I wanted to share with you, the first secret. And now, here's another example of a school that we gave them a tool, and here's what they had to say, right? By using Cleverbooks, they were able to basically take their second graders right? And explore the weather, the political maps, the animal, the plants, and all the 7 continents today. That's in one day, right? And from there, here, the takeaway is that their school is a great place to learn every day. And that's what we want to do. We want to make your classroom, your school, a great place to learn as well, right? I hope I'm over promising already. I hope I'm over promising to you there. Now, let me share with you the second secret I want to share with you, which is creation, right? And the main thing that I want you to take away from this is that when we create something, we own it. We have an attachment to it, and it has a lot of emotion, right? Now, if you're teaching something like the English, like learning reading, you're probably wondering, well, reading is probably boring. Will this work for my students? Let's see what a student has to say about this, right? So we have a student here saying, I like it when I have a visual and I can do something myself. It allows me to keep a lot in my memory, right? So this is from a student. And the reason why the creation process, creating something and interacting works so well is because it involves creativity, problem solving, reasoning, experimentation, interacting, manipulating objects, taking them apart, putting them together, breaking down concept, understanding how they work. So that's why it works very well. And it's a natural way to go and learn in the world today, as well as it's one of the best way to learn in the classroom as well, right? So I hope that's making sense so far. And then my third secret that I want to share with you is collaboration. And the idea here is very, very simple, that people like other people who are like themselves. And what this means is people pay more attention to people who are similar to them, right? And how does this work in the classroom setting is that basically it allows for some of the most important skills in the workplace today, like meta skills, working as a team. It allows for things like developing those friendships, right? Being able to go and ask questions, being able to invite other people to join your team, being able to go essentially and ask someone else to help you solve a particular problems. These are all some of the biggest things that we can use. And collaboration and cooperation basically create this environment where you want to see your student help each other succeed, if that makes sense. And the picture we have there is a school in Egypt. I'm so excited I can't even pronounce the words today, of a workshop where the students are working together on a project, and that's there's math, there's geography they're working on over there. Is this making sense so far? Is this making sense? Comment yes if it's making sense. I want to know so that we are all on the same page.
We have yes.
We have a yes?
Yes, we do have.
And it's making sense? That's awesome. Are you loving the content? Are you loving the content? Am I delivering so far? Am I promising big? Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you for participating. Awesome. So the next thing I want to share with you is now, when I've shared all of that, you're probably wondering, that's going to cost so much. Our school doesn't have a budget. We don't have a budget. And you're right. I mean, taking your student to go and explore, to go on trips, to go and learn all these things, to go in a wild habitat, it does take a lot of time and money. As an example here, if you were to take your students to a zoo, it would cost you around $150 just on transport. It would cost you $345 just on the zoo tickets and the insurance, which is just $8 per student. For 30 students, excluding the teacher, it's already 240. So you're looking at 735 just the zoo trip, excluding the expenses for the teachers, by the way. Excluding that, you may need another extra teacher in case you need help and things like that. So yes, there is a limit on the budget. And if we were to try and do all those things, exploration and creation and cooperation, if you try and do all that, then we are getting to something where you'll need something like to take a student to planetarium to learn about the planets, and that'll be, you're going from the zoo, that is 735, to class trips to go and learn about planets, that would be something like 570. And then if you have some things like quizzes to make things exciting in the classroom, you're getting, prices like, and this is actually the real price of these, like a Quizmaker as a platform that to make things exciting is going to cost you 370. And then if you want to teach them, to give them a space for the students to create by themselves, you're going to have to spend 470 with another platform. And you, by the way, you won't even get half of what we are trying to promise you today here. And then if you want to simplify your teaching process yourself to make things easier and you want to plan everything, again, you see that there's another cost attached to that. And if you want a maths platform to make subjects like maths, to make simple, complex abstracts simple, you see that there's another cost that's 300, and all that together, we are getting to a total of 2,515, not to mention the effort and time to try and integrate all these. And by the way, these trips, the planetarium and the zoo, they're just 1-day trip, right? But today we want to show how you can create engagement every single day. And by the way, I can promise you it will not cost you anywhere near that. But how many of you so far can already see that schools are already spending this much money? Your school is probably spending this much money just to engage your students in the ways that allows them to learn. These are platforms that your school's already spending on that, right? So by now, you're probably wondering, do I need all these solutions? So here's what these teachers have to say about that, right? So they say people today, and by people, it just means students today, they like activities more quickly. They want, otherwise they become very distracted, disengaged from the activity and didactic. And, if your teaching is static, right? The idea is that it just won't work, right? It just is not gonna do, because there's so many things. The attention span of the average person's attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right? And here's another teacher saying, right, teaching and understanding abstract a concept is very challenging for a lot of students in the physics and maths, right? And this is because students have a very hard time visualizing. And these are teachers who we work with, and this is what they tell us. So what we want to do today is show you simpler ways that won't even cost you nearly as much. But even if it did cost you this much, it will still be, I can still see how a lot of schools are justifying spending that much money. I don't know if you can just yet, but my aim is to show you that there is value in helping student learning, right? So with that said, one of the biggest things that we've seen is that, so teachers may forget about themselves, right? For example, for a lot of teachers, they're so busy committing, but they forget to look after themselves, right? 78% of teachers don't even feel like they have enough time to plan for, the common core standards, right? And this is because of how much workload they have. And today, as I promised in the beginning, our goal is to also show you that we can alleviate that if possible. So with that said, the tool that I wanted to introduce to you today is Augmented Classroom, right? And the aim for this tool is, I want to introduce to you, is to simplify your teaching with no tech headache, to reduce your workload, and to still help you give the best engagement you can give to your students, if that makes sense. So by now you're wondering, what is Augmented Classroom? Well, Augmented Classroom uses augmented reality. And here's what it looks like as an example. With augmented reality, it allows your students to interact with concepts in the books, on the papers that you print, any textbooks, and also using a device that could be a laptop, a tablet, a touchboard, a computer. I'm going to go through in details that, but the idea here, you can see there's a map on the desk, and then the student is using a mobile device. It could be a tablet, and they're able to put their hands between the map and to interact with this planet, which has come live, and now they're trying to understand how it works, and so on and so forth. Well, what does this mean to you, Augmented Classroom? What does this mean for you as a teacher? Well, what this means is that you can take your content and then use the 3 secret, which is explore, create, collaborate, in your teaching process to transform any subject, bringing it live with the push of a button. Are you excited about that? Are you excited to bring your content live, to transform your teaching? If you're excited, please tell me yes, so I know we're on the same page. Are we excited to bring your content live so that your students can interact? That is awesome. So with that said, as I did say that, if you were to do this the traditional way, you have to go to the zoo trips, you have to go to you have to buy some maths program, which by the way, they will not even bring their content live. You have to get some quiz makers, and they will not bring they won't make their quizzes fun. You have to go to some digital create space. they'll be limited. And this is just for 30 students, by the way. All these costs here is just for 30 students for one class, all of these. And it's still going to cost you $2,515, which I think is not giving you the best of what today's technology is able to give you. But even if you did have to pay that, it will still provide you with a lot more weight on your shoulders lifted and all that. So our promise today is we are going to give you everything. We're going to match all of these, which is what you can find traditional. We're going to match them, but we're also going to outdo them. And I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do that. We're going to provide you with tools that will take your students on trips like zoos and all that, right? With the same value. We're going to provide you with tools that are going to simplify and make your maths really fun, maths engineering. We're going to provide you with ability to create quizzes and make your tests, quizzes, and all those kind of things really super enjoyable for the students. We're also going to promise you that we're going to help you with a space for your students to create, to engage all their problem solving and reasoning skills, all of that you would have had to pay that. And we're also going to promise you that you'll be able to take your students to learn about outer space and rockets and all these things, all for fun, but also engage them in those engineering subjects. And you want, and it's still going to be not just for one day as a planetarium trips. And we're also going to promise you that we're going to help you simplify your teaching, your planning, all of that. We are promising all this value, but you still will not have to reach even half of this price here, right? But even if you did reach half, it will still be worth it. Do you agree with me? If you agree, say yes. If you agree, comment yes in the chat so I know we're on the same page. Are you with me? Is this making sense so far? Am I going too fast?
No, you're grand. I think you can go ahead and share all the secrets in practice.
Awesome, awesome. So here's a teacher sharing an example of what they did with their classroom when I shared with them when they got their first hands-on tool. This is the teacher. I think she's a 4th grade teacher, if I remember correctly, Stephanie. And she said, "We love augmented reality world map from Cleverbooks, and what a fun way to see the different continents. And our favorite thing to see is the animals coming alive." Let's see, maybe let's just jump and see very quickly what the students have to do here. So you can see there that it's a very engaging way. You have one student who's basically interacting, and there's a lot of other students paying attention to what the teacher, the teacher has them to pay attention with, right? What the teacher wants them to focus on. And the idea here is the solution is going to work with any of the devices that you have at school. Laptops, PC, Chromebooks, mobile, right? It's a web-based application, so you don't need to download anything on the computers, but it does have mobile applications, right? And it's gonna work for any Androids, iOS, Windows, and with a selective, with a lot of languages to integrate your students, a lot of support services, the libraries, as well as any curriculum from the world that you have in your school. We probably have it there, and if we don't, we'll be able to create it for you manually if we have to, right? So we have all this for you, right? And here's just another example of the teacher who may be wondering, what about me? I teach English, how will that work, right?
Herbert, when you click down at the bottom, share screen, there's an advanced sharing options and you can share your audio because we cannot hear the audio.
You can't hear the audio?
No.
So this student is reading. So you guys can't hear the audio, can you? No.
No, we can't hear the audio, so you can comment.
Okay. So essentially, let's see, I don't know if I can copy the link to this video URL. So I'm going to share this later because I don't want to diverge anyone, but the idea is this student here is basically reading from the application that they have, from the platform that they have here, and they're reading for their teacher in the classroom, and the teacher is asking them, you know, basically what it means is in any language, and whether it's from learning about space, whether it's learning the language arts, or whether it's just learning English, the possibilities are there, right? Another example, so as I mentioned before, right, we are going to exceed the value that you'll be able to get with the tradition. And one of the things that we have for you is we also have these trainings, we also have these proven systems that are going to enable you to interact more with your students. And by that, what we mean is the platform itself has been designed and has been made in a way that to improve the retention rate and the test scores for the students. So if you want to improve those, there is that. And then we also have the ready-made easy lesson plans, as well as the content of library content for lesson plans and quizzes and tests from teachers around the world. So if you wanted to access that, you still have that. And you can already see we're already exceeding the value from what you probably get in the traditional market space. Am I making sense so far? So with that said, your investment with this will not even be that, right? Even though there's, here we have a maths teacher showing how she's super excited to use the platform to engage her first graders in 2D and 3-dimensional shapes. I was going to play this video, super excited to show it to you, but since you can't hear the sounds, we want to go ahead and play with it.
Right? I'd say you go ahead and just show how to create the lesson plan and how the
I'm gonna jump very quickly, and I'm gonna show us very quickly how we'll create our own lesson plans. But the idea here, you can see there's another teacher showing that she was super excited to be able to get started with her own. And the idea of augmented classroom is you can take your students on the trips, you can improve their retention, their information, but you can also basically empower them to explore, create, as well as collaborate, if that makes sense, right? And here's another example of students learning by themselves. So maybe you're teaching English, maybe you're teaching them geography, maybe you just want them to start become curious learners. The opportunities are basically endless, right? So again, I was going to show another video to show the excitement, but since we can't hear them, we don't have to worry about that. And again, the investment for this platform is still not even half. You won't even have to invest 1,979 there, right? Even though we'll still be providing with the augmented geography, augmented classroom geometry, augmented classroom quest, augmented classroom create, the augmented classroom space, the 5 minutes planner, the proven teacher system, as well as the ready-made easy lesson plans, right? And with all of that, your abilities basically will be, you'll be able to prepare, manage, and deliver lessons in a 3D learning environment. And you'll be able to integrate augmented reality into any of the subjects in your classroom, and be able to take your students on trips around the world in any country, and teach them about cultural heritage and a lot, much more that I can cover in this webinar today, right? And your investment will not even be 497 today, right? And you may be wondering, well, what makes us so unique and to be able to present to you with such a powerful tool? Basically, what we do is we take any subject, and most of them are static and boring. The subjects in the classroom are very static. They're just on a book. And we make them come alive for the students to interact with, right? And so today, what we want to do is we want to give you this comprehensive augmented classroom to make it easy for you to do all the things while saving time, but getting much more better results. So we want you to take advantage of that today, right? And I'm going to promise you, it will not be $197. I don't know if I'm over delivering yet. Am I over delivering yet? Are you excited to see what we've got for you? Are you excited to see how all of this is going to work for you? If you're excited, comment in the chat, because I am super excited, because I know the power and I've seen how teachers are really benefiting from this. Again, you're going to be getting augmented geometry, geography, the quest, the create, the augmented space, the 5 minutes planner, the teacher's proven success, as well as the ready-made lesson plan, and much, much more. And the investment today is just going to be for $99, right? Now, my colleague Mina, I think, is going to share the link in the chat down there on where to get that. And while we are doing that, I'm going to show you a very quick demo on how all of this essentially, I'm going to share with you a very quick demo on how all of this will work for you as a teacher. So let me do that for you right here. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to quickly share with you www.cleverbooks.com. Nope. So I'm going to go to my Cleverbooks here. Then I'm going to share with you very, very quickly how that's going to work for you as a teacher. Okay. So as a teacher, what all you have to do to use the augmented classroom, so share, is basically you're going to go to Cleverbooks. You can see my screen, is that correct? I had to close my presentation because it's loaded with so much content. So you're going to go to the Cleverbooks website here, and then you'll be able to log in. And then once you're logged in, can everyone see my screen? Is that correct? Are you with me? Type yes if you're with me.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if you have any questions, just type them in the chat there. So once you log in, you'll be greeted with this dashboard here. You'll see there's a quick short demo video, and then you'll have access to these these apps here to help you get started very, very quickly, very, very easily. And to access everything together, you'll be able to go to the lesson plans just at the top menu here. If you click that, it'll show you all these apps that I was talking about. And it will show you the create lesson plans. It will show you the curriculum at the top menu and any additional resources that you want, that you need, right? So if you need any of that, you'll be able to see all of that there. It's available for you to use. So for today, I'm going to show you very quickly as a demo, the geography app and how you could use that. So for example, maybe I don't want to create a lesson plans. I could access lessons plans here. So if I create geography here, I'll see that there's a lot of lessons plans in here already. And I could either use one of those, or I could just find one of the lessons plans I'm looking from the many options that we have on all of these here. And there's always new lessons plans being added. And I'm going to show you how to create one very, very quickly. But for now, let's have a look at the geography platform, the geography application of this for you and your students. To use that, you just go to the geography. The first step you do is you download these apps, right? Now, for now, you don't have to download them because I'm going to be showing you how to use them on the desktop. So if you're joining us on this webinar on the desktop, I'm going to share with you a link so that you can use it. But to do this, to set it up in your class, you would print this map and you download the apps either on the devices or on the tablets for your students to use. And then once you've done that, you go to your dashboard on the computer, on the teacher's computer, and then you will load this so that you have a teacher's screen. And I'm going to create a very, very, very quickly here, a second screen. So I'm going to begin a classroom. So let's imagine that today you are my students, and then I'm going to be showing you how it works. Now, the first thing to notice is that this is GDPR compliant, which means the students will not create an account, only the teacher will, but you'll still be able to invite your students to engage. And there's plenty of languages to choose from if you want to present. And to begin your class, simply begin the classroom. If you're using the mobile device, like an iPad or phone or mobile device, what you would do is you just give the students this code. Otherwise, if you're using a desktop, a Chromebook, or laptop, you just give them the link. So I'm going to share with you this link so you can join me in this classroom today. So in the chat, I've shared with you the link. So if you're on the desktop, please join me by clicking on the link. I can't do. So I'm also going to put it here so that I'll create a second teacher's screen. Okay, so this is where we are. So I'm going to be waiting for you guys to join me. So I have 1 student. Excellent, excellent. I have 2 students. That's awesome. That's exciting. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And okay, so my apologies. They are moving a bit of a few of my windows around just to make sure that you can see, because I want to show you 2 things at the same time. So join me there if you want. It's going to make it much easier for us to all understand. So I shared the link there. And then I'm going to share 2 screens for those of you who are not joining, so you can see as well. So if you haven't joined, the link I've shared, can you see my whole screen? Yeah. You can see both my screens, yes?
Yeah, we can see both.
Awesome. Fantastic, fantastic. So this is the teacher's screen. We have 3 students here today. 3 people have connected. And this is a student screen. So if you join me, you'll be waiting on this screen like this. All the students usually have to do is just put in like a nickname, just so they can be identified. But that it's GDPR compliant, so there won't be any names like that recorded, anything like that. So the students are now waiting. We have 5 students. The students are now waiting on that screen. So as a teacher, I can hide this and then begin my class. So today, maybe what I want to do is I want to teach my students something maybe about animals, maybe. Let's try something about animals. Maybe let's try something about land animals or something like that. Right. So if I click here, the student screen is also going to start activating, and then I can select maybe the animals in Australia. Right. Now, while this is loading on this teacher's screen, I can tell the students. So if you guys can go to the Australia, and then you can see the animals in Australia. I want everyone to go there and Australia and see. So you can see that the students can interact. So I can have this on a big projector displayed for the whole students to see. But here the student will also see on the computers, and they can interact with each individually. They can learn. And this is the opportunity for them to learn reading about each animal at the top. The opportunity for them to learn about the animals, reading about each animal at the top. You can see there, right? So you can see all of that, and it reads out for the students as well. So that's one example. If I wanted the student to learn these things, and the teacher can then work on facilitating the lesson, right? If that makes sense. And if I am done with this lesson, all I could do is I could move back and then assign the students a new lesson, right? So maybe this time what I want to do is I want them to work together in teams, and I want them essentially maybe to work together in teams and learn about, let's say we want them to learn about flags. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm waiting for this to load because I had a lot of tabs and I was running a lot of things on my computer, like creating those presentations, so many videos and things like that. So it's going to take me a little while. So let's give it a second. And I'm also using my Zoom call at the same time. So this is to be expected. But so far, is it making any sense? Let me know in the chat if it's making sense on how you can imagine yourself learning a lesson, let's say in geography. Is it making sense? Do we have questions? So Sasha, how is everyone doing there in the chat? Do they have any questions?
No questions yet. Dee just messaged me directly. Looks great. I guess you wanted to send that to everyone. Yes, kids will love this. People are
Awesome.
trying to sign in. Sign
Okay.
in.
So you shouldn't need to sign in, because what I've done is I've shared a link, right? And we have 6 connections here. And what that means is all you have to do is just click that link and then put a nickname in, like the way I did. And you can see here on my screen. So for example, maybe I want to assign my students a new lesson to give them something to learn about flags, right? So hopefully this will allow me. I hope I haven't overloaded it with I think I probably have overloaded it. So I'm just going to put the link in there. Okay, so I'm going to load it again so I can assign a new challenge here for us together. Okay, so the student will be waiting for me, and then I can be able to assign them a classroom. Should take a minute. And by the idea of using these games or challenges, that you can invite students to cooperate, to co-create, and to basically work together in teams. Now, I think I've overloaded my screen here. I can hear my computer running on full speed. So I'm going to close this and maybe open another app and show us very quickly an example of co-create, if that makes sense. I hope it will allow me to do that. So we have a space create option, and we have ARC Quest. Before I jump into co-create space, I'm going to jump very quickly into ARC Create to show you how that would work for basically creating quizzes, and how would you make your tests and quizzes all fun, like the other teachers know what they're already doing. So to do that, idea here is you would go and do the same. You just have to download these apps. You don't have to print anything. And then you go to create. And then there's already, I'm going to just make this screen a little bit bigger. There's already a library here, public library, for all these quizzes that you can choose from, maybe in different languages, or you can create a new one by just clicking create. I have some that I've been using, and right, to create one or to edit one, you just click it, and it will allow you to add a question, or you can change who can see it, how easy, what age group, what language is it in. So you can choose any language, and what is the topic, right? Then you can easily create tabs for making it easy for you to find it later, right? So with that said, let me show you how that would work when it comes to essentially, when you want to run this quiz. I'm going to show us on the video version. So once you create this, you'll need to launch it on the app. This one to work on the desktop, you need to launch it on the app, because for the student to use this, it's like a Pokemon Go concept. So the students have to move around looking for the next challenge, looking for the next question. And the example will be, if you look at this video here, you can see here, the student move around the camera, they move it around, they're able to see what's the next, when they find the next object, it's going to bring up a new question. What is this called? And that could be any language, any concept. And to create one, you can either use the images we have, you can upload your new image, you can create your own images, and so on and so forth. Is that making sense? Laima says, thank you. Of course, you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Right? Does this make sense? So yes, this app does need, so all these platforms do need the internet, and you do not need to download or anything like that, right? You only download the app, the platform itself, it just uses the internet, if that makes sense. So I want to show you an ARC Quest the ARC Create very quickly. And the idea here is it's an environment for the students to create by themselves. And this is very useful for giving them scenarios where you want them to involve their own creative imaginations, right? So for example, maybe you want them to create how people and it will run the same on the desktop or on the mobile version. Now, because I gave you the link, that link I gave you was for geography. It's not for create. It will, if you're trying to get in, you may get something like that. It's because these are two different apps. I wanted to show you that, right? So don't try to log in. For now, just pay attention to my screen, if that makes sense. So you'd begin the classroom as normal. You'd copy a code or a link and share it with the classroom. And then you can go to my project or shared projects. And the idea here is you can either give your students an environment that you want them to create, and they're able to drag and drop objects and so on and so forth. So let me try and load this here. What am I doing? I think I have to create a new one. Is it? So let's say I wanted to create a new one here. I could pick whichever one I want. It could be historical, and then I could assign it to the classroom. Now this is the teacher's dashboard. When I do that, it's gonna give them on the student's screen. On the student's screen here, if this was ARC Create, they'll have it loaded just as the same, and then here it will break them down to teams of 3s or 4s, and then you can tell them what you want them to do. Typical topics could be how did the ancient civilizations use rivers, to protect themselves against invaders or things like that. So you can have them build scenarios to explain concepts that you may be even teaching from the book and things like that. And there's images and things like that. And there's also lesson plans here. Something that I want you to see is if you click at the bottom here, you can access lesson plans to use with this app. So I'm showing you a very small limited section, small limited portion of what this could do. But it can do so much more than that. And that is something that I wanted to make sure I point out to you, because in the limited time that we have, I can't show you everything. And that's why I was showing you the videos. There's just so much content that you can use with this, right? And one quick last thing that I want to share with you today is, by the way, do we have any questions? Sasha, would you read out the question if we have any?
Yeah, we have a question from Lamia. So once we download the app, we don't need the internet, right?
So once you download the app, you do need the internet. So ideally in the school, if you have the internet, this will work perfectly. And the idea of this is that you don't need any software on the computer because it operates from online. So it's accessible even in the libraries, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
I would say the moment you want to actually facilitate a lesson as a teacher and have your students join your own lesson, the devices need to be able to communicate, because you as a teacher select the contents that your students can access.
Exactly. And now the last thing I want to show you here is, let's say you're a teacher and you want to create a lesson plan very, very quickly, right? I could just go to a lesson plan here to create a lesson plan. I'll just go and say start. My name is Herbert Innocent, and this is the email I want my lesson plan to go to. And my lesson plan's name, maybe I want to talk about planets, how planets work. Now, this was pre-filled when I was, so don't worry about that. You'll have a minute to type. And then maybe planets, that would be geography. I'm just assuming it's going to be geography. I know it could be science, it could be a lot of other things, but in this case, I'm just going to pick geography. It's not here. I'll click others. It's going to give me the option to put geography, right? So, and then the next thing is, my school uses grade system or class system. We are in Ireland, we use a class system. If you're in the US and other countries, you might use grade, which may be something like 3rd grade or 4th grade. And then once you've selected that, maybe I want this lesson to last just like 20 minutes. And then I wanted to use geography app. And then I want, maybe I have a YouTube video I want to include in there. I might put like a YouTube video, and I might also put like so I'll just list my resources here. Maybe image link here, right? And then I'll click next. And then what are the objectives for this lesson? So these lessons, I want my students to learn about the Earth's layers, I want my student to learn to be able to name the layers. I want them to be able to know the difference between the layers. And I want them to be able to know what causes volcanoes, right? These are just objectives that I've typed in. And then activities, what are the steps? So the first thing I need to do is to the geography map, obviously. And the next thing I need to do is I need to download the app from to the devices, right? So that they can interact with the devices. The next thing I need to do is I need to open the world map in the app section, and I showed you earlier. And the next thing I need to do is maybe open the Earth section to show them the planet Earth, if that makes sense, right? So once I'm done, I just click next. So what do I want my students to know by the end of this lesson? So I want them to be able to know what is the hottest layer. So these are just the questions I might put in my quiz as well. I want them to know what is the thickest layer. I want them to know what layer has plates, or no, which is the crust. And then I want them to know what is geothermal, just a big word to throw there so they can feel smart or something like that, right? And then once I'm done, I click done and I click submit, and it's gonna go in my email, right? And once it's done, it's gonna bring me back to the dashboard. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna get the lesson plan immediately in your email. But a few days after we've reviewed it, we're also gonna publish it in a space like this here. So for example, if you look at this lesson plan about animals, this was also created by a teacher. You can see this, it was created by Miss Amanda, and the schools in the USA. And this is what the lesson plans are after, you've put all together these additional resources, there's the questions, there's the details, activities, there's the objectives, and there is all these things that she wanted to include in the lesson plan. So it's really up to you, but you can see here, you can quickly create your lesson plan, and then you create once and you can use it as many times as you want. This year, next year, 3 years from now, you have it at your disposal. And that is the goal. Does that make any sense? Do we have any questions? Yes, you can create
Looks like
any
no
lesson
questions for now.
plans.
Oh yeah.
You can create any lesson plan, and then you can just choose which app to use. So I did say you can use this with any subject, and I mean any subject. Name a subject, and these, even though it says geometry, you can really use with any technical subject such as physics and mathematics to explain those concepts. It really comes down to the teacher's creativity and to the teacher's needs, if that makes sense. Did this make sense to you guys? Does all of this make sense? Type yes if this makes sense. Type yes in the comments if this makes sense. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome. Now, I hope I think my colleague Mina shared with you the link there to get access for yourself. Mina, did we share the link for where everyone can get access to the classroom? Have we shared the link yet?
Yeah, I shared, but I will share again.
Yeah, let's share it. Let's share again. Let's share again the link so that everyone can get access to, because we have created this package offer for you today. It's a very limited, and the idea is we were basically just testing to see who else would really want to use this to take advantage of it. It's a marketing test, and once it's gone, it's gone. It's not like the value we are over exceeding. I don't even know how long we're going to keep it up. I was going to ask Daria, but Daria said to step because she's something else important. She had to step out of the room for a few minutes. But the idea here is we've created this for you to enable you to be able to do what you want to do, which is make that lasting difference in your student learning experience, right? And I've showed you there are so many ways, so many things you can do. I mean, the limitations are only the things that you're thinking about so far. Now, I'm not going to take any more of your time there. The link is there, and my colleague Mina is going to explain about the prize that we have today. Is that correct, Mina?
Yes, I will share now. Also, I will share the picture.
Yes, please.
Just a
yes,
moment.
Please.
Just a moment. Our winner for today is Lamia Habib. I'm just
Awesome.
sending the picture, and we will contact you. Congratulations after the webinar, and
Congratulations.
the procedures you should follow.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, she's from Carleton College International School,
Mhm.
and we will contact you after the webinar. And I also post the email address that if you would like to get certificate after the webinar, you can send your email to marketing@cleverbox.eu.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you have any questions, type them there. We'll try and answer them as best of our abilities. Now, my computer was a bit overloaded with the presentation and so many videos. That's why I didn't show you everything there. But if you have any questions there, last minute questions, just typing them in there and we'll try to answer them to try and help you so you can get started today as well. Am I making sense? And for anyone who's wondering, what about my curriculum? Where can I see my curriculums? So you can see here, if you go to the curriculum outline and you want to teach a particular curriculum from any country, you can just go here and then you scroll down to the bottom. And then once you scroll down to the bottom, you can choose whichever country you want. Maybe it's British curriculum, maybe it's French, maybe the Australian, and that's it. All the apps and the activities and everything is already there planned for you, and you already start using it. I mean, everything is there for you. It's at your disposal, if that makes sense. Any questions? Any last minute questions? So I think there's a 48-hour window. It could be less. It could be less. I think there's a 48-hour window where you can access this, offer this package that we have shared with you. And once it's gone, it's gone. And it's on the website. The website has been shared over there in the chat by Mina. I'm going to share it as well here with you, with everyone. And I want to thank you. And I
one
want to
final
thank
question.
everyone. Mm-hmm.
One final question, in case we want to answer this, and we have time to answer it because we are already a little bit over time. Excuse me very much. How do you use these apps to teach computer science? From Monia.
How do you use these apps to teach computer science? So the best way you would use them is depending on what element of the computer science you want to teach them. So for example, computer science can be broken down to programming or things like that. So maybe you want them to understand the various elements of programming, right? Or maybe you want them to understand how things come together to work, right? So depending on which one you want to use them, the idea here will be to explore to see which one, but I can easily see you using ARC Quest, the building blocks. I can also see you using the geometry to explain some physical concepts. It really depends on what element do you want to see. Now, if you're asking, how can I use these to teach them how to program? Yeah, components. And by components, I'm assuming you mean, do you want to unmute Monia there so that, Monia, do you want to speak into the microphone there so we can hear what you mean by components? And what grade are your students?
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Thank you. I am so happy to join you
Awesome.
and thank you and learn from you how to use these apps. I am computer science teacher from Tunisia, and I am so excited to learn how to use IR in my classroom. For example, I teach students, 7th grade students, on how to, what are the components of the computer. For example, a screen, a keyboard, mouse, how to use these apps in IR.
In that kind of way. That's a
Yes.
really good question. Thank you so much for your question. So if I were you, what I'll do is I'll quickly jump to ARC Quest, right? And then in here, I'll start creating this. I mentioned this is like a Pokemon Go element, and I'll start creating what things I want them to learn. So when I come here and I start creating it, I'm gonna pick subject. I'm gonna say computer. If I can type, you're gonna have to excuse my typing. So maybe computer, maybe I want it not to be public, I want it to be maybe easy, or maybe I want it to be hard for their, I want it to be advanced just to challenge them. Maybe they're 6 or 7, 8, maybe it's English here, it's English. So once I've selected all that, the next thing I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start creating my questions. So maybe I want them to learn what is a screen, what is a computer screen. If I can type, that'll be really nice. So computer screen. And then once I've done that, I can put pictures. I can either select the images that we have. We have several images in here. Or if we don't have the image, you can actually upload your own images. So you can take the images and then just upload them and then save, and then create the next question that you want. And for the students to learn this, they're gonna start walking around trying to understand what element it is that you want them to learn. You could even use it on a book. So for example, you can use the pictures on a book. So the first question could be, what is a screen? The second question could be, how does a screen work? And then you have a multiple choice answers. You'll be able to add options in terms of what kind of an answer. So right now, I'm not going to create because we are already over time, but I'm going to show you that once you've created it, and we have a lot of quizzes that you can see as an example. Once you've created it, it's going to look something like this, but you're going to have multiple answers, something like this, where you have multiple answers, you have an image, and then you have your question, and then you can lead them to understanding how this works, how it all comes together. Am I making sense there? That could be one way of teaching them. Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. So that's just one way of teaching them. Another way of teaching them would be, opening, let's say, the ARC space and then showing them what is possible. Basically, the idea here is it really is going to come down to you how you want. So we are leaving it that as a teacher, you'll be able to see multiple ways to use it once you've started interacting with it, because really there's so much room for creativity that it really comes down to how you are imagining them using it, depending on the scenario that you have in front of you. That's the only limits there. So for example, let me see what else I'm thinking here. So from the way you phrased your question, that was one way I could think of really, really quickly. Another way I would think of would be, let's see, what are some ways have you imagined using augmented reality? Because what this does is it brings any content live. So what other things would you like to bring live in computer? That's the question. So how you ask the question may be important, What other things exactly you need? Exactly, I need 3D images. You can also use 2D images as well. You can also use just simple 2D. So if you take a picture from your phone, you can also use those images. It doesn't always have to be 3D images. Now, if you want a 3D, there's plenty of those, but you can also just use 2D images. Does that make sense? Awesome, awesome. So we have run over time. Any one last question before we close? Any last question?
No. PYP 3B, is that a question? I don't think so.
Awesome. So thank you so much. I hope if you have any questions, you can email us. You can reach out to us. Our goal is to support you, to help you in a career progression, but also to really help your students so you can make that lasting difference. A lot of teachers have had such They've reported some really amazing results with what they've done with their students with this, and we hope we can do that for you as well. With that said, thank you so much for joining and for taking the time. We appreciate you. And if you have any questions, reach out to us you can directly email me, herbert@cleverbooks.eu, or you can go to our website to find our contact details, and then we'll be happy to help you. Okay.